Hey, welcome back to the Deliberate Talks podcast, and this is the 18th episode of it. And I'm your host, Dakshin Adyanthaya, and today our focus goes straight into a conversation on design. Like some say, designing is not everyone's cup of tea. And to rubbish that statement today, our guest will be highlighting some easy tips using his brand that'll help you elevate your professional design capabilities. But before that, here are some coolest facts about designing. According to a study, 67% of small businesses are willing to pay up to $500 for a logo. A 2016 Content Marketing Institute study showcased that 51% of B2B marketers mark creating visual content as a priority. Also, 43% of digital marketers acknowledge that producing engaging graphic content consistently was their biggest struggle. And finally, 73% of companies feel investing in design will make their brand more recognizable than their competitors. But there's also a myth about designing, right? That it is expensive and not for all. Well, to shy away from that myth, listen to what our expert has to say today, right after this intro.
This is the Deliberate Talks Weekly Podcast, powered by the Pixelated Egg Digital Ventures. Tune in every week to learn something new about digital marketing and entrepreneurship. And now, over to the voice of your host, Dakshin Adyanthaya. Enjoy the show.
So, in today's episode, we have the founder of Visme, a leading visual communication tool used by over 6 million users from over 100 countries. Here's introducing Payman Taei. Hello Payman, welcome to the Deliberate Talks podcast. Excited to have you on the show today.
Sure. I'm all ready, man. Let's do this.
Great. So Payman, like I always start with my guest, Visme. Tell me a little bit more about the name and the backstory of the brand.
Yeah, so Visme it was created to allow anybody to create beautiful content. So most people, when they want to create something, they think of a tool to create an end result. So you think of, I want to create a presentation, I'm going to use PowerPoint. I want to create a graphic, I may need to use Photoshop. So what Visme does is the intersection between the ability for anybody with or without design experience to be able to create beautiful content regardless of what format. And so it all has to do with things that are visual, content that is visual, and so combining text, icons, images in different formats. And as a result, the Visme name, the beginning of it is in essence a visual aspect that allows individuals to be able to, or teams to be able to create content.
Pretty cool. And adding on to the backstory of the brand, when did you decide to begin this and what was the need that you saw?
So, I come from kind of a self-taught designer, and that's what I did as my first business, is to just create websites and for different companies. So small businesses, medium, eventually it became a small little web agency. And then out of that, a lot of the work that we used to do was Flash animations. And initially, Visme was really supposed to be an alternative to Flash. Those people that even remember it, because it's been over a decade now, that its demise was as a result of iPhone and Steve Jobs, who said, we're not going to support Flash. Most of the interactivity, things that were moving around, websites that were interactive and dynamic and engaging, were made using Flash. And so when that went out the door, there wasn't anything else to replace it. And so initially, Visme was just a little experiment to allow designers and to be able to create similar type of content. And very quickly after that, we decided to pivot and make this tool for everybody and make it for non-designers to be able to create all types of content. And that's how it all came about.
And how has the journey been so far?
Well, let's see here. I think with any kind of idea or startup, you're going to have a lot of challenges. You're going to take a step forward and you're going to fall down, and you have to keep going, moving forward, and things you do work and they don't work. So there's always some level of experimentation of figuring things out. And the journey has been good in that we've had over 6.3 million, I think, users now that have created an account on Visme and use it to some degree to create some sort of a content, a lot of them presentations, some of them infographics, some of them maps and charts. And more now, what's happening is companies are utilizing Visme as an alternative to other tools such as PowerPoint because of the collaboration aspect, because of the ability to be able to really lock down your own branding, so create on-brand content for your team, and the end result being beautiful, specific to your needs with full flexibility and at a fraction of a time that it takes you to create using other tools. So we are kind of progressing and we are very product centric. So everything revolves around the product first. And of course, the customers are right there next to it, but it starts with the product and it revolves around continually improving and staying at the forefront of coming up with features and functionalities and certain ways that the tool just creates this demand that individuals want to continue using and creating content that they're happy with.
Nice. Let's dig deeper into a conversation on design now. Payman, tell me, how important is visual communication in today's world, be it for individuals or for businesses?
I think it's very important, and I think it always has been. It's just that in the past, most people didn't have the tools and the time and the tool set to be able to create that type of content. And so as time has gone forward, more and more companies or businesses are tapping into it. I mean, at the end of the day, when you're like, let's say with COVID happening, there has been this big pivot to digital and online. And so more and more meetings are happening online. And instead of happening face to face, you have to present content and information. And so you have to share your screen. And what do you show people when you're sharing your screen? Maybe you're for marketing or sales, for internal communication, you need to show stats and figures. So you need something to do that. Now you could do that in PowerPoint. You could do that in some other tools. You could do that in tools such as Visme. And the other part of it also is that, on an average day, the average person, professional, non-professional, is inundated with all types of content, like on Facebook or watching TV or Netflix, or just ads, non-ads, and so on. And so the attention span is very low. So what you want to do is you want to be able to appeal to your audience, your viewers, with information that is easy to understand and easy to absorb. And so time and time again, scientifically, it's been proven that when you show someone let's say a sentence or a paragraph, if it's simplified to the certain keyword or slogan is supported by some sort of a visual asset, or on the other end of the spectrum, if, instead of showing them a table of a bunch of numbers, if you actually visualize it to a chart, a graph, they're able to understand it and comprehend it or remember the key aspects of it a lot faster and more quickly. And therefore, it all makes sense that that's how you continue to present and put information in front of your audience.
Right. And you mentioned about presentations. These beautiful presented slides make a different impression during meetings and pitches, but are yet not given importance by individuals because there are some bad presentations as well, right? Tell me, are you someone who's critical about good-looking presentations? Also, are they really that important? And how does Visme improve this experience?
Yeah, exactly. So, the designer in me wants to see all presentations be beautiful and interactive, and, that you just want to sit down and just watch it over and over again. On the other side of it is that, look, when it comes to practical use cases, when it comes to, let's say, you're presenting statistic to your executives or to potentially for sales, yes, there's a certain level of cosmetic appeal that has to be there. But at some point, it doesn't really matter anymore because the information matters and the storytelling matters, right? Mm-hmm. So as far as, 5, 6, 7 years ago, I would have been like, hey, let's just, Visme, let's create just beautiful presentations. That's what really should be the focus, or beautiful content. That is a supporting means of the content that you're creating. So you should create, I think the word should be create compelling presentations that are not just, the beauty of it and the appeal and design aspect of it is to support and to allow the individual to be attracted to it and also be able to understand the information as presented to them. Because look, at the end of the day, you can create a beautiful animated with everything, all sorts of things going on a presentation or graphic or whatever else it is that you're creating. And the first 20, 30 seconds, it's awesome. It's great. Wow, this is nice. But then what happens after that? You get tired of it. It's the storytelling, it's the information. So I think there has to be a balance. And so our goal at Visme, not just a tool that we've created, but it's all the free resources that we provide, not just our users, but others. We even have course, just launched a free course that anybody can take, whether it's a Visme user or not, that can actually get certified. So you actually become a presentation guru, create compelling presentations. And you take this course with all these short videos and little tutorials that it doesn't matter if you're planning on using PowerPoint, Google Slides, Canva, Visme, Prezi, any of those tools. And regardless of those, these resources allow you to create that. So our mission at Visme is to provide the tool set to empower individuals and companies and businesses to be able to create beautiful, compelling presentations or other content. And yet we also provide all the resources that they need in as easy to understand without it's all free and available to everybody to be able to even tap into those to improve their actual skills as well.
Right. And just like these presentations, infographics are another conversation. No doubt they're one of the most complicated content pieces to create, but it works fantastic in a platform like LinkedIn. So when it comes to a time-consuming content like this, how do you up your design game?
So in general, if I'm demoing, let's say, in front of a company or my team, a sales team, customer success, and the question, I do this webinar every Thursday, Visme 101. You can actually register it on our website, and you get to get a full 30, 40-minute experience live as far as how the platform works and all the features it does. But when you ask the question, what did you come here to do? And a lot of times the question is, I came here to create a presentation, especially if they're, traditional PowerPoint users and so on. And little do they know that a lot of the content that they're creating as a presentation format could actually better be fit as an infographic. And why is that? Because infographics, they're just basically a very tall one-page document, which can be posted on a website. So you just scroll down and watch it, or it could be on LinkedIn as a link. And what it allows you to do is that in one view with a combination of text, it's about the minimum amount of text possible, and with visual cues such as icons and graphics and charts and stats and figures and so on, to be able to represent and convey information in a meaningful manner. So it actually can improve information retention on a certain subject. So for example, you want to explain a process. What is the 5-step process of creating a beautiful presentation? Well, if you have never done an infographic, you probably think, well, let me create a presentation slide deck. And then you might have a title, and there's slide 1, like step 1, slide 2, step 2, and so on and so on. Mm-hmm. Well, as an infographic, you actually create it as a tall, imagine if you put all those slides on top of each other, so it becomes a very tall one-pager. And so what you have now is that as you're scrolling down, you can create the process. You can actually visualize the steps. So it could be like a street or a pathway or a line that's vertically going with step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, and 5. And each of those steps can be supported by a text or a visual. So infographics can really be a great method of explaining processes or hierarchies or anatomical information, in phases that you want to explain. So it has a very strong business use case, or especially also in education, whether it's for school or it's for a business setting.
Right. Nice. And apart from that, what are some of the tools on Visme that are the most used by designers or non-designers?
So, we started mostly as a presentation infographic tool, right? So a lot of our users, find us on Google, or they've heard about us, or, when they search best presentation tools, and then we're one of them. And so they come to us with expectation is that we are present. So they come and start with a presentation, or may come and create an infographic. But in Visme, over time, what we've done is we've expanded. That's what our mission is, to allow people to create all types of content. So presentations, infographics, documents, printables, social graphics, or even graphics for your website. And in the coming future, short little video clips and so on that you could use on any of those mediums. And so a lot of the content still to this day is mostly in a presentation or infographic format. But as each month goes by, that percentage drops a little bit, because more and more of these users or new users are using us for documents or graphs and charts and so on and so on.
Interesting. And these are so important also for small businesses, right? So how does Visme really help small businesses with visual content marketing strategy?
Absolutely. So let's look at it this way. If you want to create something that most small businesses, either don't have design resources in-house, All right. Because I mean, if you're a small mom and a pop shop or even a business that's like 5 or 10 employees, you really need a full-time designer. The answer often is no. You may need someone on like a contract basis and so on to create your branding, your logo, your initial website. But after that, designers, and again, that's what I started at and still do as well. We like to create new stuff. We don't like to sit there and just keep recreating things over and over and over again. It's boring, and that's almost like content management. It's like hiring a web designer whose job is to create websites and asking them to make content changes on a site every single day. That's not what they like to do. That's where, content management systems are. Software like WordPress and so on allows someone to build a website and you go in and edit it yourself as a non-technical person. So something like Visme comes into play is where a lot of businesses, you already have your logo and your branding and so on. You may have a website. And so the other part is that, our tool gives you all the templates and all the assets from images, huge library of icons, even animated graphics, all the charts and widgets to visualize little stats and figures and percentages and numbers, video clips and audio library. Everything is in one place. And so when you come here, you have the entire tool set at your disposal to quickly create a beautiful presentation or document. For example, last week we have a Visme private channel, and I just saw someone had created menus as an interactive format, and they had actually put it on the screens as menus on LCD displays on this restaurant. And so they use Visme to create interactive menus with little animated icons and so on. And so it's not static anymore. So our tool is just, opens your imagination. So as a small business, if you want to have someone do this for you, you're going to have to spend, hey, I need to create an infographic I need to create a menu myself, and I wanted to make it really visually appealing, and I wanted to put it on my website or menu. You need to hire a designer, and you might have to pay him or her $1,000, $2,000, and so on to do that. In Visme, we have plans starting at just $19 a month or $25 a month or so. And then you can come in, you can do that on your own. And you can not just create one, you can create as many as you like. You can continue coming back and just duplicate or create as a template and all the assets and images that you put into place. The next time you come back to create that next design, you have a starting point, and it saves you a ton of time. And all the images, icons, it's all remembered, it's there, so you can continue creating. So we're like the platform to improve and allow small or large businesses to save a lot in creating an end result that they can be happy with and be able to tap into it anytime right through their browser.
And how different is Visme for business from Visme for students and teachers?
Great question. Before I answer that question, there's something else you asked me as well. How is Visme different, let's say, as an infographic or some tool sets? Mm-hmm. The way to conceive Visme, because look, we are not the only presentation tool out there. We're not the only infographic tool or the graphic design tool out there. If you put all of those in a circle, we sit in the middle. And what we've done in our mission is to take the core features, the most critical features that most people want, they cannot get in one place. And we're creating a balance between that. Because you see, if you just put them all on top of each other, it just becomes jumbled up. It becomes like, let's say, Photoshop or Illustrator, very, very powerful tools. But the user experience is very low because, again, they're meant for the professionals. I use them, but it's meant for the professionals. And so you're sacrificing a certain amount of user experience with a ton of features. So what our job here at Visme is to find that boundary. There is a lot of tools out there that are very dumbed down to restrict you heavily to be able to tap into your creativity. You usually hit limits. So those are the dumbed down design tools and so on out there. They're very good for a starting point. But then soon you hit that floor where you want to do more and you feel restricted. And then on the other end of the spectrum is, let's say, your Adobe suite of products. Great products, but they're really for designers. Top 1, 2, 3% of the population out there. What Visme is the intersection between the two. And that's where our gray area is. And what we're doing is to bridge the gap. Get the core features that you do not find in the dumbed-down design tools, and then also get the features that are in those design tools and bring them together so that anybody with or very little design experience can use them. That's what we're doing at Visme. And so it's very different. It's on the surface, it looks very similar to other tools, like, oh, it's a presentation, but you've got to dig down. Like, spend 30 minutes in it and you'll be able to surprise with all the features and impact things that we do. Now, as far as the plans that we have, everybody can start with a free plan in Visme. And you get a lot of features, about 70-80% of all the features and so on are there, but it is limited with the templates. We have a certain number of free templates, free icons, images, videos, and so on that are free. And then we have the paid plans. We have plans that are for students or educators, which is extremely discounted. We're talking about 70% less than what you would pay as for like a business plan. And then we have plans for personal use, a plan for personal use. So that's where, again, you get 90% of all the features you get in a business plan. And then we have the business plan, and the business plan is where you're one or more users, could just be an individual. And then that's where you get all the features. So you set up your own branding, you even can publish your content and share it online. Let's say it's a presentation that's live, it could be private, and then you actually can measure how much time people are spending per slide and who's coming to it and so on. So that's the other angle that comes with our business plans beyond all the features that we provide.
Okay, great. Payman, I read Visme also offers affiliate programs, right? Now, that opens a revenue stream for a lot of users. So what is the kind of monetizing opportunities that one has?
Sure. So we have affiliate program. It is when you go to visme.com, visme.co, either way, you go to the same place. It's both us and same website. And then you can go to the bottom on the page, and I think there's a link for partner with us or affiliates, and then you can register to become an affiliate. We do approve the affiliates manually. They're not just automatically become affiliates. And if you do become an affiliate, basically you do get a profit sharing. So we do give you, in fact, we give you a commission, and I think that's published on our website on the affiliate page. I think it's 30%, but we also even we have a certain period of time, we even match that as well. So you get a big commission base on that. And we don't really call it affiliate, it's just a partner program, right? And we don't want to promote Visme as a sales, hey, we want everybody to be honest. So if you're a partner, just, go ahead and create your Visme account, play with it, use it, and you'll be able to see things that are different, unique in our tool, and just talk about it and just happen to use the link to promote us, and you'll get something out of it if somebody signs up for Visme.
And do you have a lot of partners signed up for the program?
Yeah, we do. We do have. I can't disclose a number, but it is in the above the hundreds that are a part of it. Yeah.
Great. Just going back to the conversation of your partners and clients, while you did touch upon it, could you highlight some successful brand marketing examples that used Visme?
Yeah, and so by going to our website, and there is a tab at the top navigation for teams, you roll over that and it actually tells you and shows you for marketers and for education and for like learning and development. So some of the use cases, as an example, there's a leading Fortune 500 company, I'll give you a big example of small, that they have an entire division that is using Visme, and they've been doing it for years now. And what they're using it is for HR. Instead of creating job opportunities or job inquiries, and instead of creating it as a simple text-based job inquiry, they actually create them as an infographic format that has because you can in Visme, you can embed like a Google map, you can embed anything. And it has more engaging content where they're representing this job opportunity. And so they share that or they embed that into the job postings on the different platforms. And that has provided over 70-something% cost savings in creating that content with a better outcome. And it has drastically improved the engagement and the acquisition of jobs that they have done. So that's one example. On the other hand, it's a team effort, right? So when you think of it as Visme from a team aspect for businesses and companies, what are the advantages? Well, you get to have a centralized system where you and your team can create the different presentations and other content. And then it's all stored there. So think of it as like Google Drive for presentations and other content. Mm-hmm. But it's also at the same exact places where you get to edit them, you get to share them, you get to measure the analytics. It is the repository where all your logos and your images and your content is all stored there. And it can be in bits and pieces that you can just grab and drop into the next presentation. You can set certain libraries that you can label and access them later. So I'm a marketing person, as an example, at a company, and I have a sales team. And what I can do is I can create a presentation in Visme, and I can actually, in a matter of a second, make it into a template so that now my sales team, the next time they go in, they can actually, right off the bat, open that up right in the browser. I don't have to send them any files or anything. They log into their account and they access it. And they actually will have limited access. So I can set, as a company, me as an admin, I can say, look, John has only access to this folder and only this specific presentations. And the other people have access to this other folder, or no, they all have access to everything. You can actually set the permissions that way. And then what can happen is that you can also collaborate. So I could start off a presentation and you can go finish it off. And not only that, it is also where you set all your brand guidelines so that you have content, not just presentation, that they all match the same look and feel. And you're able to do this without ever having to pass files back and forth. And you get to have live content that can be public for public facing content. And it can be fully private as well with password protection where only you or certain people that you want to invite can actually even access that. So that goes through internal use, right? Or having content that you only want to use internally yourself. Mm-hmm. So there is many use cases, but that's an example of how a company or team can actually set up their company in a matter of minutes, and they will be able to add users, and those users can have certain permissions that you designate. And then it is also the one place. You no longer have to use 3 or 4 or 5 different tools to create graphics or create a PowerPoint. They're all dispersed into different drives and Dropbox and all those different locations. But we are the one platform that allows you to bring it all together. And you can still pull your files if you need to from your Dropbox, your OneDrive, or other repositories. So we have integrations as well from that. So I hope that for anybody that's on the business side, they kind of, I think by explaining some of these, at least 1 or 2 pointers of each side would pertain to saying that, oh, okay, yeah, that could help us. That's where Visme comes into play.
And which brands are associated with you for the same?
There are a number of them that we can't disclose. We're under NDAs and so on. So I would love to say their names, but I will say is that there are leading sport team champions that are using Visme for marketing and sales. There is leading financial institutions that are using Visme internally for their internal use inside. We have organizations such as IBM, and we have users from a number of other organizations that are on the site. Again, maybe I'll have to pull up a set and remember some of the names, but there are many of them, Software One, IBM, and a number of other institutions, pharmaceutical companies. They come from all walks of life, and they're small ones as well you may have never heard of. So we have many teams, from Zurich, AXA, IBM. We have users from PayPal, Penske, so Uber Freight, Duke Energy. I could keep going.
Great. That kind of ends the first segment of questions for you. And before we move into the next round, here's a quick plug-in.
Friend us on your socials and let's connect.
So now I'm going to move into a round of rapid fire, and there are some questions that will be shot at you, and you need to be really prompt at this. So are you ready for it?
Go ahead.
Great. What are some creative exercises to help one improve creativity?
I would say look at a lot of the examples out there. Look at what other people are creating.
Okay. When you're not training individuals working or speaking at conferences, how do you spend your time?
Personal time, well, with my son and wife. And if it's just like hobby time, I still love to sit down and design anything. In fact, for Visme or other projects.
Nice. Your personal favorite tool in Visme would be?
Favorite tool, it's our animated graphics and animated assets that really allow you to, with a simple drag and drop, convey information to support your slide, your infographic, and so on. They're exclusive to Visme. You will not find them anywhere else. We spent over 1.5 years developing them. We have an entire team behind it. That's one of the things that also makes Visme special. I'm very excited about it.
Cool. And what are some of the tools that you integrate with Visme for better marketing results?
Sure. So we're releasing this. I guess by the time this goes live, it probably will be released sometime in early this fall. It's going to be repositories, OneDrive, Google Drive, Dropbox. We are integrated with Google Maps, and then also you can pretty much embed anything from any third party. So Typeform, Constant Contact, SurveyMonkey, all of those you can just drop it in, embed it right into your Visme as well. And we've got deeper integrations coming over the coming months.
Very cool. And what are the new updates that are in store for Visme?
Absolutely. So we're going to be heavier into collaboration. We did release the collaboration feature in Visme where you can easily start tagging. You can actually comment and annotate. You can literally draw on your presentation or graphic and then tag your colleagues so you can actually start and finish a project back and forth. And we have additional collaboration features that are going to be rolling out. Got a mobile version that's in the works coming up next year. and desktop. And so there's a lot behind the scenes, some of the things I can't disclose, but there's some really cool features in the works, and just continual improvement of the product. Every single 7 to 10 days, we have new features, small or large, that are released into the Visme itself. And every couple of weeks, or at least once a month, we notify all our users of some of those new features, or they'll just see it when they log in.
Okay. And lastly, are you hiring freelancers from across the globe?
I wouldn't say freelancers. We don't really hire freelancers that much, unless it's very specific design that have very specific skill set. In general, we do hire full-time. We have a team all across the world. I think 12 or 13 different countries. We are actively hiring, and we are getting a little bit more nitpickier about who we hire. So yeah, certainly if you feel that you have the talent from development to design to marketing, content, then we have a jobs page, and then you can apply through there on our website.
Nice. That round went pretty quick. Now moving on to our last segment of the show. And this is a question from a thread, but it's customized further to get an answer from you. So the user says, my organization has been using Photoshop, Design XD, and Keynotes. What are some online alternate programs for creating professional designs? Now customizing this question, so considering Visme is the solution to this question, could you share 3 reasons why people should consider it, and how does it reduce the designing efforts in the organization?
Sure. So I guess if I have to be promotional in that, it is, the promotional part of me wants to say Visme, but honestly, me as a user that uses Visme all the time as well, I'll tell you why. Okay. At some point, you may start with another tool that you reach that rooftop that where like that's the limit, and you want your content to be more engaging and more interactive, and yet you want to be able to do it without having to be an experienced designer. Our platform allows you to do that. So the keyword would be interactivity and dynamic content. Visme allows you to do that. Number 2, if you want to be able to create a presentation or an infographic, any content, and you want it to look a little bit different than somebody else's, that you get the cookie cutter stuff out there, Visme allows you to do that. We have a vast library of templates that allow you to start from. Number 3 is the amount of customizations that you get within it. So, it's great to have a beautiful template that you look at and you're like, that's fantastic. And it's another thing to be able to completely modify and change that to your liking if you want to do that, whether it's just changing a couple colors or fonts, or whether it's completely adjusting design to fit your exact needs. So, and that's the third. I'll give you a fourth one. And the fourth one is Visme is, I like it, that Shrek movie where the donkey was been explaining is that, hey, the peeling of the layers of the onions, so Visme, you think of it as like a little onion, and then you just keep layers. So when you go in, it's like, it's a presentation tool. Yeah, it's pretty cool. They got some features there. And then you see that there's this feature that's just kind of hidden there, subtly there. You're like, oh, that's pretty neat. And you dig a little bit deeper and you find something else. And you find something else. And before you know it, you're like, wow, this tool is pretty easy to use, but it's pretty damn powerful as well for some of the use cases that I'm. That's maybe why I would say Visme would be something to consider using. But at the end of the day, the decision is up to the user. You have the freedom to try different tools, and you have the decision to decide which one you want to use. And that's the personal option that everybody has.
Fantastic stuff. That pretty much brings me to the end of our productive conversation. Thank you, Payman, for introducing us to the world of Visme. I wish you and Visme all the very best for the future updates. And I hope you had a good time conversing on the show today.
I did. It was great. I appreciate it. Thank you very much, man. It was great.
Great. Thank you. Well, that's it for today's episode. Go explore Visme for your professional designs and make that impressive presentation and content your brand deserves. If you have any feedback about the episode or the show, please write to thedeliberate@gmail.com. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and the social media platforms of the Deliberate Talks podcast and the Pixelated Egg Digital Ventures. Join us this Friday for a bonus episode, and until then, inspire and be inspired.